Here I am back in the Battletech beta, and I have been playing this off and on lately, trying to figure out some of the movement stuff that's going on, some mechanics that have been confusing me, and also I was trying to recreate a bug that I ran into. Anyway, so here I am. I took a lance out with 2 catapults, an awesome with the 3 PPCs, and a commando. So I'm actually was trying to recreate a bug here with the commando, and I was unable to do it. And I was, trying to be useful to the beta and recreate it and then write it up and send it in. But either way, also I'm trying out this double catapult business because I like LRMs. I think they're a lot of fun. And in this game, they have a pretty good impact other than just dealing straight damage. LRMs are really good at making mechs unstable and knocking them down, as we'll see a little later on in the match. The other thing I haven't used much of is this awesome. I like the awesome in general from other games. The one in this game seems to be a little bit on the weak side to me, but it's still an assault mech. It's still heavy and it still deals pretty good, melee damage. This is the first time I've used this particular model with the 3 PPCs, and I'm curious to how it's going to work out heat wise, or if I even use them at all, because they're long range weapons and this is my only assault mech in this lance. So more than likely that's going to be the one I'm using to tank with, as I have no idea what I'm facing. I just know it is a random heavy lance like myself, so I don't know what I could be facing. I could be facing an Atlas, I could be facing an Awesome, I could be facing a Victor or whatnot. And in the medium mechs, I'm not sure. And if they shouldn't have a light mech in this one, because I actually put this one in here, this commando in particular, just to play around with it, with that specific pilot right there, Mockingbird, who likes piloting these commandos. So we'll see how it goes. And another thing that I figured out kind of the hard way was that the AI loves going after the light mechs, to the point where you can use them as bait and draw in the enemy lance farther than I think they should. So I'm gonna play around with that a little bit too and try to keep my light mech alive as they've been getting slaughtered. Now, as you can see, I'm looking at a Griffin, and the Griffin's a pretty decent mech. It's got jump jets. It can be a little bit of a pain in the neck to deal with in this game. It's pretty maneuverable, as all the mechs are with jump jets. And the jump jets have a benefit of you being able to turn your mech around and face whatever direction you want while it's jumping, as in the air it will twist, as opposed to walking or sprinting and getting to a point where they will only turn so far, and you may end up with your frontal armor not facing the enemy. So imagine that other 55-ton mech over there. I know what it is, but right now I didn't. Now I got a Shadowhawk coming in. I haven't actually used a Shadowhawk myself, because I personally think the mech is boring. I think it's generic, but whatever. And as you see, I'm getting my second catapult into action right here, targeting the Shadowhawk. I have a 90% hit rate with my LRM racks, as you can see in the bottom right of the screen. So, and both of my catapults are standing in water, so I'm not going to have cooling issues with them. I'll be able to just fire as long as I keep them in the water. Now, the Awesome may have issues with that because of the 3 PPCs, but like I said, most likely what's going to happen, and what actually does happen, is it ends up tanking and doing a lot of melee fighting anyways. So here we are. I'm just trying to figure out which one of these mechs I want to concentrate my fire onto. And right here, I think, is the only time I actually get off all 3 PPCs. I already forgot. I may have been able to pull it off one more time in this, but the PPCs I scored 3 hits. As you can see, did 150 total damage. Anyway, PPCs are probably my second favorite weapon in the Battletech Mech Warrior universe. My favorite is a Gauss rifle, and unfortunately there's no Gauss rifle in the game currently. My second favorite one is the PPCs, because I tend to like the long range hard hitting weapons, and then we go to the AC class weapons, AC5, AC10, AC20, and you also have the AC2s in here, which I've played with the Jaeger mechs, but I haven't recorded those. And right now the Commando actually has a large laser. As you can see in the bottom right, it's a 60% hit right now chance to the mech that was targeting. So right now, like I said, I was trying to recreate a bug right now, and I'm not even going to explain it. It didn't happen, so I imagine I didn't do something right, or it was a random bug. Anyway, so if you can see, I've left my Awesome standing right there in the trees, because when it's in the trees, it has a damage reduction buff that it takes as long as you don't move it. It's in some cover, and it's an assault mech. It's got a lot of armor, and like I said, the Awesomes, you know, they can take a pretty good punishment. Although, like I said, the versions in this game currently seem a little bit weak to me, but maybe that's just me getting back into this game. So as you can see, as I'm trying to see where I want to move my catapult to get some good firing lanes into these mechs, you'll see that when I have them moving, selecting the jump jets, you'll see white, blue, and some green dots on the ground. So the blue dots mean that in that position is going to be in water, thus you get the bonus cooling. The white dots are going to be on land and no particular cover unless you line of sight something with some cliffs or some rocks or whatever. And then the green dots tend to be in what is soft cover, the trees, providing you with a little bit of damage reduction. So I'm going ahead and I'm going to do this alpha strike. Low percentage to hit on the medium lasers, not so good on the LRMs, but as you can see, I'm standing in water and didn't acquire much heat, and that's pretty much the reason why I did that. There was no downfall for me alpha striking with those low percentages with the catapult standing in the water. As you can see that they're targeting the Awesome, because right now the Awesome is the main target, but here pretty soon they're going to start right here going after the Commando. And the light mechs in this game will go down super fast. So if you want to keep your light mech in a game, you need to keep on top of line of sighting things with it, moving it around, sprinting to get those damage reduction buffs that they get from movement and standing in cover. And also depends on what kind of skills the pilot has. So there you can see I took buckshot in the catapult and just did a short jump jet back to pick up the hit percentage on my LRMs, which now bumped up to 90%. And you'll see that yellow bar flashing below the Shadowhawk. That is its stability bar. You see that right now, boom, knockdown. That is what LRMs are good for in this game. You can build up those stability debuff bars on the enemy mechs and put them down, and when they fall down, the pilots take damage, the mech takes damage. And right now, that mech right now is a sitting duck, as I think you'll see me get a wildfire. I don't remember if I'm going to do a called shot on that mech, which is something you can do when a mech is either shut down from heat or has been knocked down. I think I am going to do it. There you go. You see I have the 3 PPCs targeting the Shadowhawk. You get the called shot comes up. I'm going to go after the damage section, what's the left torso, which is probably not a good angle, but I'm going to go ahead and I only did 2 PPCs. I don't know why I didn't do all 3 of them, but anyway, 90% hit, and you'll see that 1 crit AC5 ammo and 1 miss at that range. So RNG in this game is kind of wonky, I think. Like right there was no reason for the Awesome to miss that mech while it's laying down. I understand what's going on with it, but I think it's a little bit wonky. As you can see, I'm bringing the Commando up also. You see 95% on a medium laser SRM2, and the large laser did another called shot and destroyed the left torso and left arm. Took out the AC5. Now the mech doesn't have its AC5 anymore. But just because you strip a mech of its weapons in this game, they're still dangerous. The AI will come in and do that. Boom. the AI will come in, melee you, and look at that. Center torso destroyed, my commando gone that fast. From being full health to dead. So, like I said, the AI really loves going after those lighter mechs, those scout mechs. And, you know, I guess there's some bonus to that, but it's sometimes you can just draw them in to a kill box. So I've done it a few times, and it's kind of easy to take advantage of. Right there, I wasn't trying to do that. I was actually, my very next move with the commando, I was going to bring it way back behind the Awesome and make the Awesome the primary target. But that didn't work out. So here you go with the Catapult. Again, arc light. And I jumped arc light and gained more distance. And I'm standing in water again. You can see my heat bar on the left is not going to be too bad when I do this. So I alpha strike again. Even though I had low 55% hit chance with the medium lasers. But there's really wasn't too much of a reason not to do that as I was standing in water. And the Griffin is go ahead and shooting at the only target that is pretty much within its range right now, which is the Awesome, and is shooting it in the left arm, which is fine with me. And also we have the medium mech coming in, and at this point I didn't know what the assault mech was, but obviously I know it after the recording. So here I'm just trying to take one of these mechs down as fast as possible, or do some serious damage to it by stripping all of its weapons and pretty much forcing it into a melee, a style of play. So with buckshot in the second catapult, I'm trying to find a good location to get some good hit numbers on with the LRMs, but I figured it should be in the same direction, the same general area that the other catapult's sitting in, and right now you can see I'm only at 75% on the LRMs, but 55 on the medium lasers. And there you go, LRMs, knockdown. Put the mech down again. Again, pilot takes damage. It's lost any of its defensive buffs, and it's on its back again, and then it's extremely vulnerable, especially sitting that close to my Awesome, which at this point is in very good shape. There we go. Now I know it. Well, now I already know it was a Victor, but now you can see that the assault mech I have to deal with is a Victor, which is good and bad. The Victor has jump jets. It's very maneuverable for its class of mech, but at the same time, it doesn't really have the same armor that the Awesome does, and definitely doesn't hit in the same weight class that an Atlas does, or a Battlemaster for that matter. But it still has a lot of armor, and it's very maneuverable. So you can see here I go into a melee combat with my Awesome. Destroy the center torso of the mech, laying on the ground. It was totally exposed. It's not going to have any defensive buffs, and it's down. So that is my first kill in this game on the enemy lance. But what that did is exposed my back, and I was worried about that, to the other mech that jumped backwards. But because my Awesome's rear armor hadn't even been touched yet, it was easy to pretty much just shrug that hit off. But I do need to reorientate the Awesome so it's not giving up the back armor as easy. And here we go again. You'll see the red lines. The straight ones, like the one on the left, are line of sight weapons, the lasers. The curved one, which you see going to the Victor, those are indirect fire weapons. And right now that would be what the LRMs have a clear field of fire for. And you definitely need to pay attention to that, because if something is standing close to a hill or a cliff, you can still not hit a mech depending on where you're at. And I've learned that a couple times the hard way on some things that I think are a little bit buggy that block them. But I get it. You would think that the LRMs would fire in an upward arc pretty steep, but I guess sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But either way, I'm learning it and getting a good handle of it. Again, using the jump jets to move the catapult around to reorientate it exactly how I want. Starting to get LRMs onto that Victor, and you can see you saw that unsteady debuff pop up, and that is from the impact of the LRMs. And there you go, Griffin jumped in, DFA, death from above, onto my Awesome, destroyed the left arm and knocked the Awesome down. And you can see that my pilot took damage from that. So Wildfire it is taking damage 2 times now so far in this match. So again, with the catapults, trying to take everything at range and in front of them to use their standout firepower. I really want to just keep rotating through, knocking these mechs down, injuring the pilots as much as possible, and keeping them out of the fight. And right now, I'm trying to get a high hit percentage on the LRMs on that Griffin, and I'm just not able to find it, and I don't understand why right now, because there's clear line of sight to that Griffin from the second catapult. So even with the awesome lane on its back, I definitely have targeting information, solid targeting information that I would assume from the second catapult from Arclight. But unfortunately, it's not happening. So I get to the point where I'm just going to go ahead, move in closer. I inspire buckshot, and you'll see that everything on the Alpha Strike goes up to 95%, and I'm going to go ahead and just unload into this Griffin. As you see, 95% hit rate, pretty much everything hit. I got a head hit, pilot injured, and now the Griffin's unsteady. So that's pretty much what I'm going for. The Victor seems to be reorientating, opened up, he did a shot, most likely a called shot on my Awesome, did a head hit, and Wildfire takes more damage, the pilot in the Awesome. And I'm starting to worry about that because if your pilot dies, of course your mech is out of the fight, which I'm actually going to do later on to one of the enemy lances. So because everything's close, it's not worth bringing PPCs into the fight. I'm just going ahead right now, seeing what target I can do, have some better melee attacks onto. And there you saw where I wasn't able to move and turn the Awesome around to face its frontal armor toward the threats. So right now, I am just, if you see, I have my melee is at 98% on that Victor, and then the small laser I believe was 95%. And I'm just trying to figure out what is the best target to go for right now and try to not leave the Awesome too exposed, because it's taking damage. As you can see, the left arm's gone, the right arm is extremely damaged. Another 2 or 3 good hits, I think 2 more hits, and that arm's gonna come off. And I've already lost, you know, a lot of health on the mech, although the center torso, right and left torsos are pretty in good shape, and the head's in good shape. So right now what I decided to do is to back off and get some distance, get some good hit percentages with my PPCs, and just try to start, you know, working on this Victor for now. I need to get some damage on this Victor because my assault mech is extremely damaged and the Victor is almost just brand new to the fight. So you see on the bottom right, all 3 PPCs were selected. They had 70% hit rate. Now I did a multi-target, and I'm going to go ahead and fire the small laser at the Griffin, only 55%. And I'm gonna see what happens with this. The multi-target skill on a pilot, it can be useful in certain types of mechs. In this Awesome, I don't think that's too big of a deal. What I've noticed it works better on, for me anyway, are mechs that have LRMs and some kind of medium or long range energy weapon, as you can target something far and something at the medium range. It seems to work pretty good. And there you go, the other Griffin came in, DFA, onto my Awesome. The Awesome is unsteady, and Wildfire's taking a lot of punishment right now. But Arclight is doing what an assault mech should do: tank damage, be the focus of attention of the enemy lance. So I could use the 2 catapults to work on them from range. So right now I have basically 3 mechs, and I need to decide what I want to do with them. Either focus fire them down, or actually what I want to try to do is keep knocking them down. And again, I'm trying to get the highest hit percentage that I can with my LRMs right now with Arclight, and it's just not working out. I'm not sure. I think I'm missing something with this, because I thought it had to do with the range fan. As you can see, it's got the 2 different bands on there. And sometimes I've noticed that when it's in the edge of the second band, that the LRMs are really higher hit percentage, and other times like this one, they're really not. And it's just something I need to figure out with. And I've read on this that this is something that other people are having issues with too. So the Alpha Strike would definitely shut down the catapult at this point, if you saw that on the left real quick. So I took 3 of the medium lasers off, went ahead and fired 1 meter laser that hit, and sent the LRMs downrange at that Griffin. And now you can see that the Griffin is unsteady. And this is basically what I'm trying to do right now. I'm going to try to keep these mechs unsteady and use my Awesome in melee combat. I believe the Awesome actually gets 3 of the 4 kills in this game. I'm pretty sure he gets 3 of the 4 kills, and not all 4 of them. So again, here was a puck with Buckshot, the other Catapult. Again, trying to find that sweet spot where I get that high hit percentage on the LRMs. And as you can see in the right-hand corner, it's just really not there. And it doesn't really make sense. But on the second Griffin, the one farthest to the right, LRM's hit percentage is at 90% at this distance in this position. And I'm just going to go ahead and use that high hit percentage to get the unsteady debuff going on the second Griffin. As you can see, he definitely got some center torso damage on that. And there goes the Griffin. Boom. Knocked it down. And the pilot take damage. Pilot's going to take damage when you knock them down. But right now, I'm actually starting to try and get a little bit worried about this Victor being pretty much undamaged and untouched. The only thing I got going for me right now is that I'm pretty much keeping the 2 Griffins kind of halfway out of the fight. Unfortunately, Wildfire goes down again, and Wildfire is getting close to having my pilot, you know, killed, which will take the Awesome out of the fight, and I don't want that to happen. I was contemplating pulling Wildfire completely out of the line of sight of the Victor, but as you can see, the Victor's glowing. The Victor Alpha struck me and then went into overheat shutdown. So I can do a called shot on this Victor, what's going to be 95% or better hit percentage, but the Victor's going to be out of the fight for 2 turns. I think it's no 1 whole turn. So right now I'm thinking, you know what, let's see if I can just do something about these 2 Griffins. So again, I'm not going to even think about getting into a distance to use the PPCs. I'm going to go ahead and melee combat with one of these Griffins, which will bring the small laser into the game also. I know I'm clicking on the Victor, but I've already decided that I wasn't going to use this move on the Victor. Now, if I was at the point where I knew I was going to use all 3 mechs, I would have used both Catapults, LRMs on the Victor, and then went in with the Awesome in melee combat, because hopefully the Victor would have went down at that point and got some really free damage on that. But as it is right now, I'm just going to be able to use Wildfire and the Awesome. So here I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with this. I'm still trying to figure out, you know, exactly how to control where they're going to end up when they do the melee attack, and where I was going to end up at this one. I didn't like it. So I went to the point where, you know what, forget it. I'm not going to do it. Let me just go ahead and give me an overheat warning. I went ahead and fired all 3 PPCs at that really close range, which probably wasn't the smartest thing to do. But I was just trying to see what was going to happen. The good thing is I got my frontal armor and the Awesome facing all 3 of these mechs. And I'm just going to go ahead and try to deal with it. As you can see, that Griffin jumped out, opened up the range to get the missiles into the fight, and also because that mech is tore up pretty good. So the AI right now is actually trying to protect that mech, which is a good thing to see. It's good to see that it's not just gonna leave severely damaged mechs right there just as cannon fodder. It's actually trying to protect its lance, which is a good thing in that case. In other cases, then not so much. So back to the arc light and the catapult. Again, trying to find a sweet spot to get some good hit percentages on that Griffin that's standing there. I want to get that side or rear armor shot, but I'm just not going to be able to do it. I'm kind of restricted to where I can go right now. I'm trying to, you know, move far away to bring those LRMs into that butter zone. And again, I just can't seem to find the range to get those LRMs into that nice butter zone. I'm between 50 and 55 and 50%. And I think it has to do with a lot of line of sight stuff, but for the LRMs, it shouldn't matter because the Awesome is up and standing facing that Griffin, and the Griffin's out in the open. So it's just that's bugging me right now. I need to really figure out what's going on with that. So what I'm gonna do is I decided to get to a point where I can use my medium lasers also. I believe I did that with Arclight at this point. I'm not sure, but as you can see, I'm still just trying to find that spot. The red line is showing me clean line of sight, although it's going through the tree, so I know there's some debuff going on there. Right here, the Awesome's actually in the way. As you can see, that the red line was going through or near the Awesome, so the Awesome was actually in the way for that. I haven't noticed friendly fire damage yet. I don't think it happens, but it may, or maybe they're going to add that later. I kind of like the idea of friendly fire, so you just can't stand behind a mech and do whatever you want. You got to take that into account. I like the idea of that. So right now, I just get to a point where I got as good a line of sight as I think I'm going to get, and my heat's not a concern right now. I can go ahead and alpha strike this and be well underneath, you know, any heat damage or worried about overheating, although the medium lasers are only at 45% hit. But it actually worked out pretty good. Yeah, I got a single heat sink crit, and guess what? The LRMs put the Griffin down again. Knockdown. And also, you know, so now the Griffin took even more damage. So because that was my last turn and the AI's turn was coming up, they just stood the mech right back up, which is fine. No problem. I still got that damage going on with it. So there you go. The Griffin, go ahead, is circling behind or onto the side of my Awesome, which is a, you know, a good thing. Took off the right arm. That's pretty smart on the AI to try and flank a mech and try to attack its weaker side or its rear armor. That's something good to see that the AI does. And in that particular position, it's not that big of a deal, really. Because if you think about it, you got two long-range mechs back there, and their LRMs are not going to come into play. Unfortunately, a Catapult has 4 medium lasers, which is a pretty good punch at the medium to close ranges. And you see right here into the back, 85% hit for all 4 of them. And look at that, they do 25 points of damage. I did 3 of them scored hits, and I took some critical heat and some internal damage. And there, look it, finally, their victor is back into the fight. That's how long it took. Yes, so I don't feel it was wasted. I don't feel it was wasted not taking that open called shot at it earlier. I got a lot of other stuff done, and I'll just deal with the victor last. Is pretty much where I'm at right now. So again, here we are with the Awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and it's gonna be melee combat again. I'm just trying to figure out a good position where when it ends, that the Awesome is going to be facing the general direction that victor is. So this frontal armor is facing it, but I'm at the point now where I just go ahead and melee. You can see center the pilot was killed, so the mech goes down. The head was destroyed, and that's what happens. You had an assault mech going in a melee versus a medium mech. Problem is now my back is directly facing the other Griffin, but again, the back armor on my Awesome at this point is taking very little damage. So now I'm in a pretty good position. It's 3 versus 2, and I have 2 mechs that have a lot of firepower left in them. Each mech has enough for 2 more full salvos of LRMs. They have 60 LRMs left apiece, and you can see the victor's clear, wide open, 90% on the LRMs. You can see that its stability bar is going to be close to being full. I don't remember if this is a knockdown or not. I don't think it was. Oh, yes, it was. Boom, knockdown. So the victor goes down again, and that's okay with me. I'm fine with that. No problem. As long as I can keep knocking the victor down, that's fine. The only thing is I really can't take advantage of it right now because the Awesome is not up yet to move, and it can't move that far anyway. So what I'm going to attempt to do is with the second catapult, which is buckshot, I'm going to try, and I'm going to do a called shot on that victor. With LRMs, every time I've done it with LRMs, it hasn't worked out very good. I've only ever gotten a few hits here and there, but I'm gonna do it again right here, just to do it. Maybe I get lucky. It's 80% hit. Either way, I'm gonna do damage. because the Victor's frontal armor is pretty much pristine, I'm just going to go ahead, maybe I'll get lucky and go for the headshot. So here they come, 30 LRMs in on the Victor. Supposedly 80% of them hit. And not a whole lot of damage sustained by the Victor. And there it goes. It's the enemy Lance's turn, and the Victor just stands up. And it's going to move into closer range with the Awesome. Now you can see, and I was thinking it right now too, the other games where I've had Awesomes in my Lance, they haven't lasted this long, but this one is over here making me like, oh, the Awesome seems a little bit weaker than normal, blah blah blah. This is actually the first time I've had an Awesome sustain this much damage. Now I think it has something to do with me moving it around, and it's taking damage on different sides of the mech, which I think is a good thing. And look at that, cockpit destroyed. Took the Victor down when it was in very, very good health. But again, that is a more armored assault mech going after one of the lighter assault mechs in the game, and that makes perfect sense to me. It really does. If that would have happened to me, if I'm in a Victor and I had an Awesome come in and charge me like that and it damaged my cockpit and killed my pilot, I'd be like, you know what? That Awesome has some more tonnage on its side. It's like a heavyweight boxer going after a light heavyweight. So now this Griffin basically has no chance. I can just park the Awesome and shut it down, and these two catapults could easily deal with this last Griffin. I'm standing in the water. I have no heat issues whatsoever, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to alpha strike this thing until it goes down. And what's going to actually happen is the Awesome does get all 4 kills, because the Awesome killed the other Griffin. The Awesome killed the Victor. The Awesome killed the... I already forgot what mech was the other one, and Awesome's going to get the kill on this last Griffin too by a good old stomp. But I still have to put it down on the ground. But that's just a matter of time, because I got both of these catapults with the LRMs ready to rock and roll. As you can see, Buckshot can do this LRM shot plus one more, has ammo for one more salvo out of LRMs. The other catapult is out at this point, because I think there was a turn back there where I didn't fire LRMs with Buckshot, only used the medium lasers. And there you go. The Griffin goes down again. Center torso highly damaged. Right arm gone. Right leg is highly damaged. And the Awesome is in range to melee combat this Griffin. And the Awesome is going to get the kill. So anyway, I'm really liking this game. I'm really enjoying the beta. I think they're going in a good direction with it. There's some things that I think are a little wonky, but it's beta. There's some stuff that I wish would change. But right now, I think it's in a good spot. I'm really enjoying the Battletech beta. And there you go. Center torso destroyed. My Awesome got all 4 kills. Mission successful.